Hey, it's Tuesday. What's up? Let's get an end of the day recap here. So I got a clip earlier today from the shifter in King Kong here. So we put this up, pulled the exhaust off. Not the first thing we did today, but exhaust is out, drive shaft is out. We get a better look at the shifter in there. Let me roll the shifter clip now. Pay attention to the bottom of the shifter where it meets the carrier cup. When? Yeah, so a hell of a lot of play there, and I could tell something was wrong once we got the exhaust off. I pulled the heat shield down and found this little piece of a bearing that was obviously a third-party component, not a genuine part. And I put it over here somewhere. Let's see if I can find it near the heat shields. Use the camera. No. Well, it's around here somewhere. Just a little piece of the other half of the bearing, essentially. So here's the shifter, and you can see the left side is way cockeyed and jammed at that angle. The right side is gone and somehow is on top of this larger heat shield. So that's where the majority of the play came with. I believe this is the UUC Evo 2 or 3 shifter. All of them just suck. The UUC parts are awful, with the exception of the dual shear selector rod, which I have retained in my setup. But the problem is this thing was developed many years ago before the more updated shifter rod joint and like the 545i shifter. And these flanges here at the end, you have to shave down a hell of a lot of material on the inside to make it work, which I did on my car. I like the extra weight of the dual shear rod. Ordinarily, there's nothing wrong with the stock knob. You're not going to get, or the stock rod, you're not going to get extra slop or anything in there. But that's a lot of the problem. These bushings up here actually look pretty good. I expected those to look way worse. This one in the back is totally destroyed. That should be in the center. And if we can get that to focus, it's not even close. It's just really gummy. The rubber's destroyed. So lots of play from there. The more pressing issue is that the transmission is still stuck in first gear. And the rod joint at the back, you should be able to take it and even by hand, push it in. That's all the way at the top, that brass piece at the top. So you should be able to push that in to select neutral or another gear by hand. I even took a rubber mallet to it and tried to coerce it into leaving first gear, which it will not do. So the entire bell housing reeks of clutch. It's an aftermarket flywheel. We can see through the inspection hole, but that's about it. I don't see active pieces of a detonated clutch disc, but I do believe the clutch has failed or something itself has jammed up there. So not good. We had one exhaust stud shear. We're just breaking off the welded on nuts on these flanges. They're all stripping out and breaking off anyways, and then I just use shorter galvanized 8.8 by M12 by 1.25 threads, I think, and nuts to hold that tight. So I contacted the customer. We got to wait to hear back if he decides that he wants us to pull the transmission and get a better look. But right now, I'm calling this transmission jammed in gear. Maybe it unjams if we take it off, get a look in the bell housing, and wiggle it and play around and see what happens. Otherwise, we're going to have to replace that transmission, which sucks. This is the guy that is buying my tires, my second set that they sent me of the PS4S. Fronts aren't too bad, rears are shot, so I'm going to sell him those. These are old Pirellis, I think. Right size, 275/35. See if we can find a date code. If I recall, during the MPI, yeah, 25th week of 2004. I was in 4th grade, my goodness. So some progress on this today, waiting to hear back from the customer. 545 is chillin'. Le Mans is chillin'. This one I've been driving for the past few days. All the door lock actuators are lazy as hell. They all need to be replaced. Still needs to go through the MPI process. Check engine light kept coming on for fuel tank leak. I changed the cap, still came on, but it still felt loose. So I got another cap and it has not come back. So I think it was a cap issue. I will recommend a new filler cap. This one, we just got the rear fender liner, the pieces where it goes 90 degrees and there's 2 body nuts in here to accept the little aerodynamic spat or mud flap, as I call it. Those had sheared off. So the fender liner's out. We finally got that. That'll go in tomorrow. Lots of work on Dan's car today. We still have the rear suspension or the rear subframe hanging on the long bolts. The struts are out. We're waiting on one more strut before we can put the springs and all the new pads, spring pads and top mount on there and get those in. We're doing rear ball joints, which I think is going to mean I have to buy some more tools. The set that I have, I don't think are going to work for those, but we'll see. So we're going to drop the swing arms. We're actually replacing the swing arms on this car. So we'll pull those out. Mike got the diff bushings in today, very nicely aligned, stock rears, and the UUC, or not UUC, the Einhorn Industries Unicorn egg in the front. Got to clean up that rotor. I see there's fingerprints on it now, but the plenum is, the lower plenum is back on and torqued. Thermostat's done and not leaking. Velocity stacks will go in tomorrow, followed by plenum lid, air boxes, fresh filters everywhere. We got the cowl off today. The windshield cowl trim, so that's going to be replaced. The new links are in, front curved arms are installed, and the one front straight arm that we have, front wishbone, is installed, though not yet torqued. So plenty more to do here in the front suspension. Lots and lots of work to go, but it is coming along nicely. The parts box is still pretty full. Got kidney grills, that's easy. Those are the rear ball joints. We're doing the stainless ECS lines. We got the 2 short ones done under the hood. That's way easier with the plenum off, like 45 minutes versus 3 hours. So the short lines up there at the ABS module are done. We've got the other 4 soft lines to the calipers to do still. And get the F10 started up today, let it run just a few minutes. The full exhaust is off in this car. And the other one that stops right there, they came apart because those clamps were either not tightened down or they're the wrong clamps. So we had a big exhaust leak there for 1, and 2, actually it helped with this assembly. We were able to put this section over here, and that's the one with the Haman mufflers. And then the cat sections we just left over here, and they totally fell out right here. On my car, I did receive a bunch of parts today from my local suppliers. So I was able to get the integral links, ball joints, wishbones, guide links, maybe a couple other parts in that box in there. So I'm waiting on the hardware now. Got the wheel carriers cleaned up last night. I'm not going to be able to press those ball joints out with the tools I have. I think I mentioned that last night. Oh, and then this drive shaft is out of King Kong there. And it's got a bad CSB. They all do. I'm just buying these in bulk now and keeping them here. So hopefully he'll want to do that, because this bearing, I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed, but can you hear that? Just moving it around like that, it's shot. So we got to do that at a minimum. The CV joint's original grease looks a little tired, though it looks like it's been off fairly recently. That gasket doesn't look too bad. And then I am going to recommend that we do the centering sleeve as well, seeing that there's a chunk taken out of it there at 7 o'clock. It would be okay, but it's out, and that part's only like 12 bucks. It is a bitch to do, though. Last time we had to heat it up red hot, dunk it in water to get it to come out with the slide hammer. So that's it. I'm going to hit the road. I'm going to take Silverstone back today. We got the diff resealed. The output flanges were leaking, so we did everything today, got everything sealed up again. No obvious cause for the problem. I'm actually quite unsure as to why that keeps, or why that's leaking again, but definitely took our time, super careful, cleaned everything, lubed everything before we put it together, and that car is out here, so I'm going to hit the road. Good evening, 11:03. It feels way later than it is. It was an in and out night because everything else is closed. So it's one of my few bones to pick with San Diego. Living up here in the suburbs, it's mostly middle-aged parents and kids and families and stuff, and, you know, responsible people. And 9 o'clock comes around and they go to bed. They've got kids to wake up in 7 hours and whatever. Not my case. I come home from work at 8:40 and it's like, all right, what's for dinner? Closed. The annoying thing was I go on Grubhub, I try to order Shake Shack. An hour goes by while I shower, while I get ready, I'm looking at emails and stuff, and then I get the message from the Grubhub driver and it's like, oh yes, they're on their way. No, the restaurant's closed. It took them 60 minutes to tell me that. So very frustrating. Mike came over, we went to In-N-Out, picked up some food, came back here, ate that, watched some Seinfeld. I got a guy emailing me with his resume and we're flipping through that, just kind of food for thought. So, wow, that's the end of Tuesday. I'm going to bed. We'll talk tomorrow on Hump Day. Good night.